What's up, everybody? What's up? What's going on? I said, what's up? What's going on? We out here. We lit. We lit. I'm late. I know. I'm late. My kids are graduating. Promotion. I don't know, man. I don't understand these promotions. I don't really understand these graduations, but it was kindergarten and they did like 5 songs, a little mini concert. Then they called their names triplets. So it's like I gotta stay for every class. So it takes a while. But I'm here now. I'm John Brown. This is the John Brown the podcast, also known as the JBP. The JBP is in the building. We got some changes to the show that you guys are going to see live because I'm going to do it right in front of you because I made a promise to somebody in a text chain, and I keep my promises. But as always, if you want to talk to me, if you want to be a part of the show, you can always hop in the chat. Shout out to Joe Rigby and the Rigby fam. They already in the building. Help the show by being a part of the show. The John Brown podcast at gmail.com is how you reach me. If you want to talk about anything, if you want to address about anything you've seen. In addition to that, as always, y'all know, if you're new to the podcast, we are marching to 300. Trying to get to 300 subscribers. The number is starting to tick up. We're getting there. We're getting closer. We're making ground. So the march to 300. So shout out to everybody who's helping make that happen. If you're new to the podcast, please like it. Most importantly, please subscribe over on the YouTube channel. If you're on X, retweet it. And if you're anywhere else and you're hearing this, as I always say, tell a friend to tell a friend. You dig? Also, shout out to all my friends at the Sporting Tribune, my dog Arash Markazi, Grant. There's a lot of people over there. Michael. Working with those guys has been great. They do a show every night. After the games go live, I join in on that show from time to time. I missed it yesterday, but I will be on there tonight for you guys if you want to catch up to that. That's always live on YouTube as well. And then they post it to a podcast the following day. So it's always great conversation with those guys. So shout out to them. And I'm going to start having some of those guys on too as well because they're knowledgeable, they're hilarious, and it's good sports conversation, whether it be basketball or baseball. And so we can have some real back and forth. And so I can't wait for you guys to really meet them and vice versa. On the show today. I'm not talking about this enough. Head over to the JBP merch shop, the John Brown podcast merch shop. Don't be afraid of those prices. Buy a t-shirt. Okay? Buy a t-shirt. You ain't got to go big. Go small. Go small. Anything will help out the podcast. By the way, if you buy a shirt from this, you can literally help the spread of this podcast. So all the money that I make from this particular avenue, it goes right back into the show. None of this goes into my pocket because, as you know, when you're doing something of this nature, it costs because nothing's free. So shout out to all y'all for supporting the show. And like I said, I'm an hour late. But I'm going to make up for it because it's a couple things on the show that I want to get to that I really think you guys are going to be entertained by. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the game tonight. Will Wemby stand tall? That's what I titled the episode. That's the question at hand. What version of Victor Wembanyama will we see tonight? In addition to that, the Padres lost yesterday. They got swept by the Phillies Monday through Wednesday, which what is today? What's today? What's today? Today's Thursday. Monday through Wednesday, Padres didn't win a game. And if I'm not mistaken, I will double check this, but I'm positive. I'm almost positive they didn't score in the last 2 games. They got the day off today, so we could spend a little bit of time kind of going over what went wrong or what's the situation and how can they fix it. Yeah, the first game they didn't score 3-0. Third game they didn't score 3-0. They're now in third place, so the fall off has begun, and they're 4.5 games behind the Dodgers. And we're gonna have a conversation about that. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's start there. I had planned on starting with the Wemby business, but let's start here. Here we are looking at another scoreless game from the Padres last night. And I'm not necessarily saying that it is, it's panic time, but one of the things that we've been able to get away with this entire time was, yes, they're not hitting, but they're winning. Somehow, miraculously, with a, uh, what is it? With a 31 and 24 record, their plus minus differential, it's in the negative now. It's in the negative. So the thing that was laying cover fire for them, oh, they're doing all this, but they're still first place in the wild card. Oh, they're still doing they're not hitting, but they're still somehow miraculously involved in a divisional race. At some point, where you're running out of runway, as they say. At some point, even though all these things negative are happening, look at this positive situation that we're still dealing with. And now you're running out of real estate with that. You are bumping up to the edge of this thing because now you're 4.5 games out. We know Colorado is going to be terrible, and we pretty much know San Francisco is going to be terrible this year. And so it just leaves Arizona, San Diego, and Los Angeles. And right now, in that particular order, you're last. And we can revisit some of this. We can revisit a lot of this. Tatis, 2 hits yesterday, batting average up to 260. Miguel, 267, 2 strikeouts, though. Gavin Sheets, 248, 2 strikeouts yesterday. We got Manny, 169, 169 for Manny. Bogarts, 245. Loriano, 211. Merrill, 200. Big Stick Nick, 186 against his former team. So we can keep talking about how they're still 31 and 24. We can keep talking about their record being positive. We can keep talking about the bullpen being lights out. We can keep talking about a lot of stuff with these dudes, man. We can keep talking about a lot of things with the Padres that, even though all these negative things are surrounding the club, positively, they're still in a solid place record-wise. We can keep doing that, or we could address the issue. Or we can address the issue. We could actually talk about the issue. Hey, man, not better late than never. I was at a graduation. I put out a tweet. I put out I don't know how much y'all Xing these days, because not, but I put out some info. I'll let y'all know. Maybe I should start a newsletter. But if we're gonna keep having conversations about the hitting on this ball club, we kind of have to understand something. The guys who you pay to hit, those are the guys not hitting. The guys who I need to have my hands available for this. The people who we pay to hit, these are the guys not hitting. Do I seem smaller on the desk after I did that? Because I feel like I look smaller now. That's not the point. Yeah, they let the Diamondbacks catch him. It's not good, David P. It's not good at all. And so as I'm watching this, as I'm looking at this, I got to be subjective. You got to be subjective. At some point, we got to start talking about the people. The people who they pay are the people who are failing them. You gave out nice, handsome, generational wealth to Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Cronenworth. Jackson Merrill, but he's so young, I'm not really worried about Jackson Merrill. He got his money early, and even if let's say Jackson Merrill turns out to be a 250 hitter and a really good center fielder, and what they're paying him, that's the going rate. Sorry. That is what it is. It is what it is. Am I small? For people listen to the podcast, I lowered the desk because I wanted my hands to be above the desk. As I was talking, I felt my hands were below the desk, and I wanted my hands to be above the desk because as I was talking, my hands were still below the desk. Now they're above. But And so then the question became, do I look small? But whatever. You got to come over to the John Browner podcast on YouTube to see the images, or on X. Shout out to the Sporting Tribune as well. But that's really the question. It's not like you got a bunch of tryhards and they're struggling because they're tryhards. It's not that you got a lot of young players who are finding their way. You don't have 7 Jackson Merrills on this team. You got a good mix of professional baseball players. And like I said, the thing that I've liked about this roster since the start of the season, yes, you have a very green manager, but Ruben Niebla has been in that dugout, and he's been around these players through 4 different managers at this point, if I'm not mistaken. The general manager has been the same. So even though the manager doesn't have the expertise that you would like, he's got the right people around him with experience within these players in his locker room. And now you're looking at it from a standpoint of, again, these aren't a bunch of tryhards. These are MVP candidates. These are guys with World Series rings. These are guys with commercials. Like, these aren't a bunch of, all shucks. This ain't the all shucks group, buddy. It's not. The people who you are depending on to come through for you, either A, in Jake Cronenworth's case, didn't and then got injured. In the case of Manny Machado, MIA, 169 now he's batting. But I talked about, if you're going to bat 169, we need to see some home runs. We already knew the situation about Xander Bogaerts. I think this is basically what you're going to get from him. And we talked about reimagining Fernando Tatis Jr., who of the group has played better lately. Gavin Sheets has carried this team at points. Ramon Laureano has carried this team at points. And this is the professionalism I speak of, that they're not depending on one guy to constantly do something for the team to be successful. This is a well-rounded team, but they're not playing well. I think they only had one game. I think the Milwaukee game was the only game that I saw them play that I went, what the fuck is this? Defensively, offensively. But they're consistent. Excuse me. Their consistent inability to score has really started to become something that most people around baseball are taking a look at. I ate this weird sandwich. I ate a sandwich before the show. That's the missing link in this. Because I believe even if you were hitting for average at this point, up and down the lineup, you know what you would get? Some runs at least. We already know. In Petco, it's very hard to hit home runs in Petco magically if you play for the Padres. Somehow magically, it's very hard for you to hit home runs if you play there. But if you don't play there, you seem to be able to hit them just fine. So the idea now that these guys keep coming up short, how do we address that? What can you go to? Again, we're damn near 60 games into the season. Let me see. I know we're 50 something. We are 55 games into the season. 55, and they're 16-16 at home. This is a trend now. This isn't a hiccup. This isn't an anomaly. The Padres' inability to score appears to now not be some random thing that keeps happening because they're facing good pitchers. It appears now that this is just a thing that they do. I mean, how many more games do you need to see them not score? How many more Manny strikeouts do you need? This is where we're at. I don't know if this is something that they can figure out a way to fight their way through. Because, again, Manny's batting 169. And this isn't like, oh, you're going to hit here, hit there, and then the floodgates will open. We're 55 games into the season. I don't think the flood's coming. Now, hopefully down the line, he can have a strong month. But again, like I spoke about Manny before, we're getting into the territory of his contract now looks worse every at bat he doesn't succeed. His age is beginning to become a conversation. And we had somebody on the show, I think it was Tuesday when we talked about this in depth. They've seen his offseason workouts. He works out very hard. I take them at their word because I haven't seen any of Manny's offseason workouts, so I don't know how he prepares. But he's been given days off earlier in the season than he's ever been given days off before. We knew Tatis's power struggles. Oh, while I'm on the power struggles, I'm going to get to the chat. We have something new to put on the board. We have something new to put on the board. Earlier today on the text chain, I was having a conversation with some people who watched the show. And one of the things that they kept talking about, because I don't think that Tatis power numbers matter, but because I think that it doesn't matter for them to be successful because he still find ways to contribute. This is a lot to erase. So what I'm about to write next is going to be very simple. When I spoke about that there'll be some visual changes to the show, this is one. The days shows without being canceled is over. I don't care about that anymore. We're past the mark where I even want to talk about that. What I want to talk about now is the Tatis home run number. Okay? We're going with the Tatis home run number. I need a massive eraser budget. Tatis home runs. Zilch, buddy. Zilch. That's the home run count. It's up there now. Tatis home runs, 0. None. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Again, that stat, although it's glaring, although it is mystifying, although that stat is puzzling, I don't think it's as important as people try to make it. So yeah, I'll put it up there. So what? So what? We can track his 0 home run count. But if he gets on base, if he continues to steal bases and he continues to be the best infielder on the right side of the field, who cares? What up, Biggie? Yeah, man, my kids graduated preschool today. They moved on to first grade. Okay, I'm sorry, kindergarten. So the show was late today. Sorry. I put out a X, but I don't think anybody saw it. So shout out to Biggie. Shout out to Exclusiveless Runner. So yeah, man, this is what we're looking at. This is what we're dealing with. That's the 0 number for him. The people who you paid to hit, they're not hitting. The people who you cut the checks to, those are the guys not hitting. Gavin Sheets can give you a week. Cool. It's not his job to carry the offense. And Duhar can hit some clutch home runs. It's not his job to carry the offense. You're not paying him to do that. You're paying Manny Machado to be consistent and to carry this offense. You're paying Fernando Tatis Jr. to be consistent and carry this offense. You're paying Xander Bogaerts to be consistent and to carry this offense. Those are $300 million players. And I don't mean they all got $300 million. I mean they got $100 million plus, all three of them. These men were given generational wealth by the Padres organization to carry the offense. And they're not. They're not doing it. So as much as I can pull for Tatis at second base because I think he'll be better there. And He has gotten better. I don't have any answers for Manny. I think this, and I said this before too, I think this is the best version of Xander Bogaerts you're going to get. I think this is the best version. We thought Jackson Merrill was a rising superstar, so they paid him. He'll get another big fat contract if he plays well. But that's the only other guy. That's the only other guy, man, that you could look at and go, all right, we paid you. Let's see something. Whether you get that stick and you poke it, hey, do something. So this is an exhausting watch. It's an exhausting watch. And I can't see it on the players yet because again, I think that this is a very professional team and they go about their business as they see such. But for me, when you get to inning 4, 5, and they haven't scored, it feels like they're not going to. And the pitcher doesn't matter at this point. They haven't scored against good pitchers. They haven't scored against bad pitchers. They haven't scored against guys you've hurt before. They haven't scored against guys you never heard before. They haven't scored against starters. They haven't scored against bullpen days. It doesn't matter. It generally doesn't matter. Because the guys who you are expecting, listen, man, I cannot tell you four guys in the lineup that has disappointed across baseball. And I'm sure the Mets can give me a run for my money, but Juan Soto's balling right now. If you guys are watching this show, if you can think of a team with multiple guys making $100 million plus on the roster, not producing like this. So we're talking Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts, and Manny Machado. And Manny's got one of the largest contracts in the league. Show me a team with $400 million plus guys on it performing this poorly. Like I said, outside the Mets. Like, we can only say that, the record, look at the record. We can only say that for so long because now that's fading too. You 4.5 back from the Dodgers who keep winning, shocker. And now you behind the Diamondbacks. And like I said, the Rockies are going to be ass all year. And the Giants appear to be ass all year. So this is becoming a tough watch, man. This is becoming a very, very difficult watch. Because right now, at the plate, if you have confidence watching Manny bat, you're better than me. If you have confidence, in hopes that Cronenworth will come back, you're better than me. If you're still looking for Joe Musgrove, you're better than me. If you're looking for Nick Pivetta, you're better than me, man. You're a better fan than me. I worry about the guys who put the uniforms on and run onto the field, and they're not cutting it. I look at the guys who are taking at bats. This team's not injury riddled. I don't think this is a manager situation where X's and O's he not putting the right people in at the right time. I've been fairly happy with Craig Stammen. Because I'm looking under every rock, man. I'm looking through the fine print of this thing to try to find something that's positive. And as much as I want to keep going back to the record, at this pace, that's going to sour too. Then what do you have? A problem. So let's dive into some of these comments. What up, Double M Forever? Let's call it what it is. Pots are cooked till Machado, Musgrove, Darvish, Bogaerts contracts are off the books. It's just reality. Say that. The expectation should be lowered to just make the playoffs. I can't say you're lying. I can't say your comment's inaccurate. I would take Musgrove off that list until you see it. Until you see it, I would take Nick Pavetta off that list. I think Nick Pavetta, did Nick Pavetta make this list? Nah, you said Darvish. Oh shit. I didn't even say you Darvish. Bro, listen, that's gone. That ship has sailed. You Darvish is retired. That's not inside information I'm telling you. You use your common sports watching sense. You Darvish is retired. And you Darvish is trying to do the honorable thing because he appears to be a very stand-up man. He's trying to do the honorable thing by the organization. You Darvish is retired, dog. He don't want to be. He don't want to look like he getting a handout. So he trying to rehab himself and get himself in better pitching shape. This is the second year in a row, if not maybe the third, that you Darvish has missed a massive chunk of it. We're up to 50, 55 games. He hasn't pitched in 2 starts. We haven't seen Joe Musgrove pitch a start at all. The people you're giving money to, they're not contributing. God, I forgot about you, Darvish. That's wild. Out of sight, out of mind. Whew. Michael Panis. Maybe an overreaction, however, not far off. If the big money is not playing or underperforming, will be tough no matter what the rest of the team can do. Only thing to do is to change expectations. Yeah. I'm glad we're all on the same page with that. I'm glad we're all on the same page with the expectations of what's supposed to happen with this team. Because, man. Let me see. Biggie says Houston and Texas. I'm assuming you mean the Astros and the Rangers got some big salaries struggling too. Hey, that's good to hear. Don't forget the Phillies are terrible right now. That's hard to say because they just came in and kicked our ass. They held us to 3 runs over 3 games. And it's not like we had one each game. 2 of those games were blanks. And again, they didn't run up the score either with 3-0, 4-3, 3-0. But that's still 10 runs. That's 10 runs to 3 runs. So they might be struggling, but this might be the place to come when you're struggling, apparently. Southside Samurai is entertaining. 20 home runs already. Can they make this a wild card? Hey, man, look, what those Chicago White Sox? This out. Let me take this down because we've talked enough about these guys not being able to score. I got to get a White Sox credit. And I know this is not a White Sox podcast. This is baseball. This is a sports podcast. But if you've got a chance, the Chicago White Sox, I'm blown away that I'm about to say this. The Chicago White Sox have the funnest team in Major League Baseball. Maybe because it's a surprise. Maybe because it was so unexpected. But what's happening on the south side of Chicago it really feels like, again, it's early. It really feels like a miracle. What's happening with the Chicago White Sox feels like a genuine miracle. Because before the season, the White Sox had no expectations. Before the season, the fire and brimstone that the front office and the management and the organization have been greeted with for just such poor management by the Reinsdorf family, not just the father, but the son as well. Just the way, and being from the south side of Chicago, the way that the Chicago White Sox have handled business post-World Series win in 06 has been one of the most, and 05, 06, has been one of the most genuinely embarrassing efforts going. They hired old-ass Tony La Russa to fall asleep in the dugout. This season, what has happened to the Chicago White Sox is a treat to the city that deserves it because it's a bunch of hardworking people finally getting something on the South Side from a baseball perspective. And at a point in time where the Cubs just snapped a 10-game losing streak. What is happening on the South Side is truly a miracle. So shout out to everybody rocking the black and white. Shout out to everybody on the South Side packing in. I used to be the sale. Now I think it's like Dignity Park or whatever the hell it's called now. Hats off, man. Hats off. Every garbage can gets a steak, but this seems like a buffet of steaks at the way they're playing right now. So hats off to them, man. I hope they can keep it up because the energy in that park right now, I'm so happy to see the energy in what I always will call Comiskey Park. So shout out to them. Shout out to them. Now let's tackle this. Let's tackle this Victor Wembanyama situation. Tonight, the San Antonio Spurs will be facing elimination against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hold on. Let me take a sip of some of my purple drink real quick before I get into this. So I don't foresee Wemby vanishing again like he did in Game 5. I don't think this is a situation where him not speaking to the media is an indication of him being embarrassed. I think this situation with what we're about to see from Victor Wembanyama will be more Game 1 like. And if it's not more Game 1 like what we see from Victor Wembanyama, I got to tell you, that Game 1 was a hell of a game, but that was an aberration. That was a blip. You know, you got to just chalk that one up and say he gave you one to remember. And the rest of the series was just bad. I mean, he was good. Again, he's must-watch television. He's must-watch television. Hold on. He's must-watch television right now. But what more are we going to get from him? That's all. What up, Dre? Andre Prado in the building. Man, you showed up as soon as we stopped talking about baseball. But yes. What we're going to see from Victor Wembanyama tonight, who knows? And yeah, excuseless maybe. I didn't think it would go 7 because I think Game 7 is going to be a dud. See, this is how I think this is going to play out. I think the Spurs will win tonight, specifically because the way that the games have been refereed. I talked about this yesterday. I'll bring it up slightly again today because I don't really like to talk about the referees, and I think the game plan is more influential than the actual whistles. And I thought the Spurs game plan in Game 5 was pretty mysterious. So this game has gone to the home team because of the referees. And so I anticipate the game tonight in San Antonio to have a lot of free throws for the San Antonio Spurs or not a lot of free throws in this game in general. I expect for the Spurs to win this game. I expect for this to be a double-digit win. And I think you'll see guns a-blazing from Oklahoma City in Game 7. And you'll see, a dud from San Antonio in Game 7. I just don't. From what I've seen from this series, and again, I hate to have this be the center of the conversation, but the inability to have whoever is reffing the game for that game to basically be determined by who's at home is genuinely interesting. It didn't occur in the first game, and it didn't occur in the third game. Those were well-reffed games where you didn't know where the referees were. You didn't know who they were. They were not an issue. In Game 1 and Game 3, the refs were not an issue. In every game other than those two, they've been a factor. I anticipate that not be the difference, not be any different tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of referee influence in this game because it was so heavy in the other game. The referee's influence in Game 5 was so heavy that you will see some retaliation in the opposite direction in Game 6 for the Spurs in San Antonio. And I hate that I have to say that. I hate that we have to have this conversation. But this is an NBA problem. So I think Victor's going to be great. I think Stephen Castle's going to be great. I think you're going to get a good performance out of Dylan Harper. But outside of that, I think the Spurs will win this game. I think the Spurs will win it by double digits. And we're on the Game 7. I hate that I don't have a lot of, excuse the expression, but a lot of thunder for this one. Because I think we know what we're going to get. I think we really know what we're going to get in this game. So, Willie or won't he? Willie or won't he? I don't know. Look, and listen, MM forever. Sorry, Browner. Blaming the refs. Why the defending champs OKC Thunder have won any of their games is just childish. Don't cry, OKC. It's a well-run machine. Hey, look, I'm not saying that they're not well-ran. I agree with you. What they do is by design. They're well-coached. Their star players terrific. They have the deepest bench in the NBA. They've got one of the best front offices in the NBA. I don't disagree with you. I just don't like their style of play. All those things that you're saying, they're true. Other than what is it? Me blaming the refs. I'm not blaming the refs. I'm calling it like I see it. If you watch those games and you don't think that the referee had a heavy influence in Game 5, I would love for you to write why. I would love for you to write why you did. Why not? David P. Vodka transfusion is great. Shout out to the Purple Drake. I'm just being 100% honest, man. This is what I see. This is what I'm watching. So if you want to give a prediction for Game 6 tonight, Double M, you tell me what you think it's going to look like. Write it in the comments. What you think tonight's game going to look like. Because I already told you what I think. Everybody do the same. If you think tonight's game will be us walking away going, the Thunder didn't shoot as many free throws, therefore, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's ability to score somehow vanishes again. Because Double M, if you watch the game, the first quarter was one of Shai's worst first quarters in his career. And then somehow he shot 10 free throws in the second quarter. And then after that, it was an avalanche. It was an avalanche of scoring for him. The San Antonio Spurs have defended him better than anybody else has defended him in the entire NBA this year. They're the number one defensive rating against him, and y'all know how much I hate those goddamn numbers. But they've defended him better than anybody else has this year, and it shows. He struggles against their defense. They've got a great shot blocker, and they've got great perimeter defenders who are big, strong, fast, and young. He's struggling against them unless he can get to the free throw line. And at that point, he gets his rhythm, and the more fouls he gets on you, that's more fouls on Stephen Castle, so that takes away the aggression. That's more fouls on Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell. All the bodies that they're throwing at him, De'Aaron Fox hit and miss here and there, it lessens the aggression because you know the fouls are coming. You know the avalanche of whistles are coming. So I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I'm not the only guy saying this. The entire NBA outside of OKC, they're all saying the same thing. This is not an entertaining brand of basketball. But everything you said is correct. They're a well-run organization with a two-time MVP on it, with a great head coach, and a great front office, with an ugly style of play. All those things can be true. Also, I saw something as well. I'm going to dive into this, and I'm going to get out of here. So, if the Thunder were to win the championship this year, or let's say they get to the championship, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander will join, and I want to make sure I get this correct. And this is a very short list of guys who've won the MVP and made it to the championship in back-to-back seasons. It is a very short list. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and I think it was Wilt Chamberlain. No, it wasn't Wilt. It was Steph Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. Oh, I can't remember who the other guy was. But there was another guy. He could join that list. Does he fit in the same category as those other players? To you, the viewer? Do you rush to your television to watch the Oklahoma City Thunder like you did the Warriors when Steph was hot? Or LeBron in his prime? Or Jordan in his prime? Or Bird in his prime? If you're that old watching this show, shout out to you. That's all. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Do you run to your television to watch the Oklahoma City Thunder like you did the Houston Rockets? Somebody put a rocket in there, so now I said the Houston Rockets. Do you run to your television? Hakeem Olajuwon. That's what. Thank you. Thank you. I think Hakeem Olajuwon was the back-to-back MVP, back-to-back NBA Finals. So, do you run to your television to watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander like you did Steph Curry and the Warriors, like you did LeBron and fill in the blank or whatever team he was on at the time? And I'm talking about you're not a fan of that team. If you're a fan of Golden State, if you're a Warrior fan, are you watching these games because of SGA? If you're a basketball fan, are you watching these games because of SGA or are you watching them because of Wemby? I know everybody's going to be watching the next round because of the Knicks, and you want to see if the Knicks can actually do it no matter who the winner is. But if Shea makes it into that category of Curry, LeBron, Jordan, Bird, Hakeem, if he makes it into that category, he doesn't even fit into that. Most people don't even care for post players like that. Hakeem was a beast, dog. Steph Curry can get you to a television today. Bron can get you to a television today. Jordan had the world watching basketball, dog. Michael Jordan had the entire globe watching basketball. Shea ain't doing that, man. So the answer is nope. Yeah, thank you, exclusives. The answer is no. This is Double M again. I don't run to watch the Spurs championship teams back-to-back in the day either. And they won 5 championships. Very similar teams in their personalities, but great system. Yeah, nobody talks about them. That's my point. Thank you. Thank you. Nobody talks about them. Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward to ever play basketball. Ever. And it's not even close. They won 5 championships when Shaq and Kobe were breathing air in the NBA. That ain't nothing to talk about. They ain't nothing to talk about. He proved their worth. The San Antonio Spurs beat the Shaq and Kobe Lakers and the Miami Heat Big Three. And nobody talks about them. Tim Duncan was cooking dudes left and right, but it was boring. Nobody talked about them as one of the greatest runs in the NBA history. Nobody talks about Tim Duncan as one of the greatest players in NBA history, and he is. Nobody talks about them. That's my whole point. So Shea's statistics are awesome. They're great. But that's really all he is. He's statistics. And it's resulted in winning. I don't want that to get lost in this conversation. It's resulted in winning. And that's all that matters at the end of the day, is if you win or if you lose. But if people remember you, is a whole different category. And when you find yourself in the names of Steph Curry and LeBron James and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Hakeem Olajuwon and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, okay. 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 Michael Panis. Spot on about the Spurs dynasty. However, the Thunder has TikTok stars with plenty of personality. It's just the fact that the whole team does what SGA does and takes it up another notch. I mean, yeah. Yeah. My point, Double M, last one from Double M. My point is, it's not the refs that are rigging it. I didn't say that. It's just you don't find OKC. Yes. OKC isn't winning by rigging. They're winning because they're a well-run machine. Yeah, we agreed on that. They're a well-run machine. And part of that machine is manipulating the referees. We'll see. Thank y'all for joining me on this particular edition. As always, it's a couple people in here, but I love that there's a couple people in here. Within there's a lot of people in here. I love whoever comes in here. So shout out to everybody for coming and checking the show, even though I ran a little late today. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll either be talking about a Game 7 that I think will be a dud. M says Thunder by 5 tonight. Not if the refs will have anything to do with it. I'll holler at y'all. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Peace.